what people classify as loneliness, you see as peace, you see as abundance, you see as growth. A lot of people are not cool with being alone with their thoughts. They rather go. Okay, so take three. I just moved up a table that we had here in the house so that we can kind of just sit and talk. Man, today I really just want to talk about the real stuff that really nobody shows on camera. A lot of times everybody's just, stunting, flexing, showing all their wins, but people need to see what it takes to be winning out there. You feel me? So, a lot of times it really just looks like this. A Saturday morning, come out and get a workout. You don't always have to be, at the nicest places, doing all these things. A lot of times you get to know yourself better whenever you're just by yourself, whenever you're just with God. That's the best thing that has worked for me. All right, so we just cleaned up. There's a plant over here that looks pretty nice. Man, this looks like it would be a good centerpiece. They actually gave this to my mom. It's supposed to be a ginger plant, but okay, I got me a chair. Guys, welcome back to another MFJ video where we're helping you grow. We're keeping it real with you guys and hopefully inspiring you to live out your dream life. It's crazy sunny outside, so if you could barely see my eyes, that's probably why. But I wanted to talk about a winning mentality, because a lot of people, like I was mentioning, they just portray the wins on social media. You see all the Lambos, you see all the wins, you see people excelling in different areas, and maybe you feel like you're not doing enough. And for me, when I was starting my journey, I think one of the biggest things that helped me was that God came into my life even greater during COVID. And so during that period of isolation and the pandemic and everybody was over there scrambling around, God had me isolated, building up my fundamentals, learning to trust in Him, learning what it means to be grounded in Jesus. And so I wasn't really focused on what everybody was doing around me. And a lot of it was because I was finding my identity in Jesus. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing nowadays. And that's why they try to find validation in people, in other things, temporary satisfactions. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people, they're just always on social media. And so you see all these people posting their wins and all this stuff. And it feels like you're not doing enough. And so I really suggest that if you feel like you're in that stage, that you feel like God is trying to level you up, that God has a bigger purpose for you, you got to spend some time building up your fundamentals. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, man, I'm not even religious. Like, I'm not even trying to do all that. I'm just trying to level up. Well, the truth is, you could have all the success in this world, and if you don't got Jesus, it really doesn't mean anything. Like, you're always going to be striving, you're always going to be comparing yourself to something, and most importantly, you're going to be very prone to becoming addicted to all these temporary satisfactions, and without knowing it, you've dug yourself in this big old hole that then only God can bring you out of again. So it's always best to start right with God. And so this is why I go back so much to having those fundamentals. A lot of times it takes a different perspective. You realize that what people classify as loneliness, you see as peace, you see as abundance, you see as growth. A lot of people are not cool with being alone with their thoughts. They rather go have brunch with somebody and just go talk about other people's lives than just work on themselves. Having a winning mentality, a different mentality than everybody else, really looks like this. A lot of times, if you're not used to this, it might feel like a lonely road, but you don't realize that not everybody is trying to do what you're doing. A lot of people are just trying to live a comfortable life. And so, if you really want to change, I tell a lot of people around me that it's going to take something changing in your life. You got to surround yourself with different people. Even simple things as the music you listen to or the social media pages that you're following, it has to be something completely different because otherwise you're going to be stuck in this cycle. You're going to be stuck in the past. I've talked to some very successful people and all of these people are human. They have negative thoughts. I bet maybe you've been struggling. You wake up a certain day and you don't feel like doing anything. You don't have motivation for anything. Maybe something bad happened that week and it ruined up your whole week. Well, some of the most successful people that I've talked to, when faced with a new problem, when faced with a new stressful event, they just added to the wagon. They realized that this life is not going to be as peaceful as it seems, and problems are going to arise. And so it's just literally about adding it to the wagon, moving on with life, keeping this momentum, and not acting on your emotions. You know, it's not about how you feel, it's about always providing that same output. I'm rooting for you. Welcome to the MFJ family. This is the start of a new journey where you can grow, you can become a new person. So thank you for tuning in today. Man, y'all have a blessed one. Thank you for tuning in. MFJ.